Faith Assembly presents Faith Break. Take a break and build your faith.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Faith Break. We got an exciting episode lined up for you today. As always, my co-host is brother Moses, and as you can see here, we have the pastor and his wife, mom and dad, with us today as well. Brother Moses, why don't you let everyone know what's going to happen today?
Absolutely. So today we're going to have a conversation with our pastor and Sister Sandra, that peer that is that powerful duo. And in addition to that, we're also going to, during that discussion, we'll talk about some things that's happened in the past and also just project a little into the future. It's going to be an exciting time. This past weekend, we spent a lot of time praying for our city. And we know that this city has endured a lot. And there's more to come, that it will need strength. One of the things that was foremost in our mind this past weekend was just Pray NYC, this event that happened. And we'll talk quite a lot about it. But before we get there, Kev, why don't we just spend some time and just declare that he's the God of this city.
Oh, yes, Lord. We honor you today. Give you praise. We magnify you, Lord. You are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy, Lord. You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. You're the light in this darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done here. You're the Lord of creation, the creator of all things. You're the King above all things. You are. You're the strength in the weakness. You're the love to the broken. You're the joy in the sadness. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things have still to be done here.
All right. We know that greater things are yet to be done in this city. Absolutely. If you listen to the news this morning, or you look at what the leaders of the city are saying right now, you'll see that they're thinking about how do we return to a state of normalcy. I would dare say that as a church entity, we do not want to return to a state of normalcy.
Right.
Pastor, Sister Ejaz, Sister Sandra. That was just to wake you up for a second. Yeah. welcome to the program this morning. And it certainly has been anything but normal over the last couple of weeks. Why don't you, Sister Sandra, just take a moment to tell us what that's been looking like in your household for the last couple of weeks. What has the Nabie household been like, especially with respect to Kevin and Pastor Ejaz, and their presence but absence, maybe. I don't want to put words for you.
Well, first of all, I just want to say hello to everybody. Miss seeing everybody. I miss singing together with everybody. It's okay to sing alone, but I realize I miss singing together in church. I really want to get back to that. But in answer to your question, when this started, I know it was March 15th when we had the distancing in church. And then from that week on, we started the lockdown. And when this started, they were saying on TV, you can binge watch this and binge watch that and do this and do that. And so I made a list. I have a stack of books. I put a stack of books aside. I got this stack of books I'm going to read. I had certain things that I needed to accomplish. Guess what? Nothing gets done. I don't get to binge watch anything. Even the shows I normally look at, I hardly get to look at it sometimes. Because what happened is the two of them went into high gear. Both of them, they became so busy, so hectic. I couldn't even get to talk to them. If I wanted, I would have to schedule things around Kevin recording or being on a conference call. If I wanted to go down to do some laundry, can I put on the washing machine now? Can I put on the dryer now? I can't pass by or anything, I'd get a look, or his voices would be raised to let me know that I'm out of the zone. To talk to him, I'd have to put my head around the door and look to see if the earplugs, those AirPod things are in his ears, to see if he's on the phone. Even if it's quiet, I don't know whether he's on the phone. I don't know what's going on. Or, he's on some conference call, or sometimes they're recording. They started recorded in the house, in the living room. And then the second week, then they went down and they set up the basement and they started doing it there. So when you're recording in the living room, my mother and I can't even move. We can't even breathe. Phones are turned off. It's just been difficult. And they have been going at it from early morning till late at night. I'd go to bed and leave him still here. I remember one Saturday night, I think it was the second Saturday night after all this, I woke up and I saw Kevin's bedroom door was still open. And that was 3:00 in the morning. I noticed the lights were on downstairs that I left on for him. He was working on the days, the Sundays service until that time. He came up shortly after that. So that's the kind of schedule that they have been on. And the first 2 weeks, I did go out like once to pick up. I went to the supermarket. I went on Liberty Avenue, get some fruit and vegetables and that sort of thing. But then when I saw what it was like for them, I have not gone out in 2 weeks now, because I realized that I can go out, I can bring something in, and what they're doing is so important. I'm taking care of the house. They don't have to do anything. They just put in the request. I want this, I want that. If we have it, we get it. If we don't have it, tough, But I realized that I couldn't just be going out there, even if it was once a week.
Yeah.
And so for the past 2 weeks, I have not been out to the supermarket nor to get some fruit or some vegetables or anything.
Yeah, and the underlying decision there is so that you don't expose them to something that
Right,
you might
exactly.
get exposed to. So
Exactly. I
great
mean,
sacrifices.
yes, yes,
And really costly, I'm sure, to
yes,
your household, in terms of, what you feed them, the nutrition value and those things. You're
yes,
going into
yes.
the cupboard and finding all of those
Right.
canned stuff, but
Uh-huh.
you're doing it so that the gospel might
Yes.
be might continue to be presented on a daily basis,
True.
hourly basis, minute basis. Rev, I know you've spent, most of the last 3 weeks just focus on continuing to minister, and you've done human work, not just for our church, but for churches within the community and the state. And then last night we had this amazing event where thousands have already been ministered to. Tell us what got us here to the point where we had Prayer NYC. How did that get triggered in your mind, and what it took to make that happen? Because that was an amazing event, a great event, many people being blessed, many ministers from many ministries. How did we pull this one off?
Well, thank you, Moses, and such a joy to be on with you guys today, and with all our friends and members of our church, just to say hi to you. And it's great to be on with you guys. Well, yes, we did have a really amazing event last evening. With over 3,000 participants that joined us from many parts of the cities and various states, and even people from overseas. This was something that, as we started the lockdown, one day, I was praying, and the Lord just dropped this in my spirit that we need to do this. And I didn't pay too much attention to it because we were focused so much on what we needed to do within our church, and I was just focused on that. And there was just this nagging in my spirit that this needs to be done. This needs to be done. And we looked. I looked at it and I said, this is such a tough job, a difficult thing. Do I want to get into this? But the Lord just kept nagging in my spirit, and so eventually I thought and I said, well, if we're going to do this, I prayed about it and said, Lord, it's going to have to be Easter Sunday night. And I said, well, let's make some calls. And I started to make some calls, and the very first call that I made, I was just amazed that the person said, I this is terrific. We were thinking about what we can do, and we had no idea this is of the Lord. Let's do it. And I started to just go down the road and just make calls. And every call that I would make, the leaders would say to me, man, I'm in. Just tell me what you want me to do. I'm in. In everything we've done here, we have not had anybody who said to us, this is not something I don't want to be a part of. It was just an amazing reaction from the pastors and leaders. And if anybody was paying attention, you would know, or you may or may not know, that we had a representation of many of the major leaders of our city there, representing different streams of Christianity.
Yeah, miracle in and of itself, Pastor. A miracle in and of itself. How did you make that work?
Absolutely, and that's what we were very intentional that we wanted to bring together different streams of Christianity, because this is so important for us in this city. But what we know is that you don't accomplish things outside of relationships. And Dr. James Davis always says relationship currency is the greatest currency, the most valuable currency in the world. And I think what you saw last night, people coming together, was just built on great relationships that took years to establish with people. And last night was just what was just behind, was just relationship currency coming into play. And that's why our relationships in life are so important and so vital, because we never know when we need people. And so I'm so grateful for what the Lord did. I think it was an amazing event that all of these
Yeah.
leaders could come together and just pray for our city.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and bringing that all together in a virtual manner, Kevin, would have been something that was shared, and I know I was part of that. And at first, the thought would be, yeah, a hard task, but yet still, we got this done. Kev, why don't you share for a moment, some of your initial thinking when we thought about having, 16 to 20 different ministers come on to one program and have this all be visual. What were your initial thoughts
So
around this?
my initial thought was, I really hope my internet doesn't give out when we go live, which is my hope every single day at this point. Before we started doing Faith Break, we had internet trouble as soon as this pandemic started. So for us, just from the technical standpoint, to host something like this was a task in and of itself. We had backups and things like that in place, but when something cuts out like that with a virtual audience, you don't know how many people you're going to lose or anything like that. The next challenge was just not everyone is used to Zoom yet. Not everyone is used to doing video calls and conference. I mean, even before we got started, you saw me running from screen to screen trying to get my parents' audio and things worked out for today. We had one pastor, I think right before he had to speak is when he got connected to the call because it was just giving him trouble and he wasn't sure how to fix it. There's a lot of things that just go into it that sometimes you don't even think about.
Absolutely, absolutely, and a great team.
Yeah.
That worked, just to coordinate
Moses,
all of this.
And Moses, we for folks to know how vast this was, the amount of people that had to come in and then get broadcasted out live to Facebook. But we not only broadcasted through Facebook, but we broadcasted through live stream
simultaneously.
And we had another remote location in another part of the city. Where one of our other technical guys, Jer, who did a tremendous job broadcasting that from another remote location. So it was in itself a technical feat for us to pull this off and get it out there last night. And
absolutely.
thank God that everything ran really well.
Yes, and that's a testament to His grace and the competencies He's allowed us to build really, really rapidly over the last couple of weeks. Although we had the basis even way before this, we've stepped out in faith, and this has brought so much. Talking about faith, we have to have faith that this city heals, Rev, as we go forward. Why don't we just, Kevin, switch to a time of worship where we just declare that healing and that healer, and we'll get back together and chat for a moment.
Jesus, you're all I need. Jesus, you're all I need. Yes, you are. Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. Jesus is all we need. With Jesus operating in and through us, we know that we have a force, a power that cannot be overcome. It cannot be overcome by the circumstances of our lives or where we face or what we face. But Rev, we started the program by saying, society is trying to return to some sense of normalcy. We know that that's going to be a new normal, regardless, at least for the next year or two. But within the church, we want a new normal. Why don't you share for a moment what you see as the new normal for the church as we go forward?
Well, there are a number of things that that we're learning here, and in the new normal, we're learning that first of all, we cannot go back to the old normal. All right, that's the first thing that I want to say. We cannot go back to the old normal, and the old normal, I think, was just a routine of religiosity for many people, just coming to church and being comfortable in doing that. I think God has awakened us to the fact that we are living in perilous times, and all of us have awoken to the fact that life is precious and life is fragile, and we've got to take things very seriously. Obviously, the way church will be done in the future is going to be somewhat different. However, I am concerned about about some things, and I'm concerned about social distancing. Right now, social distancing is a great thing because it is helping us through this crisis. However, I do believe that social distancing will have adverse effects on mental health of many people. The Bible says, greet one another with a holy kiss. God said to Adam, when he looked at Adam, it is not good that man should be alone. And I don't think isolation is going to be the long-term solution for us as human beings, because isolation will create many problems. I believe human beings need to feel affection and hugs and touches, and we were made for that. And I know that our leaders are pushing social distancing, and some of them want that to become the new normal. And I have a problem with that because I don't see that being good for us at all. I know that the new normal is going to be wash your hands, and that's a good thing, because I think it's amazing to me that when you go back to the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, you would see that God had already instituted how Israel should fight diseases and communicable diseases, and he instituted quarantine because when someone was ill with certain things, they had to quarantine them outside for 7 or 14 days, and it was primarily for this reason that they should not spread any form of diseases. But I just want to share one thought, and that is, when it comes to washing hands as a church, that's great. As people, we need to continue to wash our hands. But there's something else that we got to remember, that God has called the church to wash feet. And I don't know how many people have thought of that. And I'm not saying to you that you should go washing your feet or washing people's feet literally, but I'm talking about the metaphor that Jesus intended when he took the towel and he put on the servant's garment and he washed his disciples' feet. And I think that has to become the new normal, that the church is more interested in serving rather than being served.
Amen.
And that must become the new normal now. That must become the new normal. And I think for right now, that has to become something. And I want to encourage our viewers and our listeners at this time, that every one of us should seek to wash somebody's feet. Again, not literally, but metaphorically, meaning serve somebody. What I would like to see people starting to do when you go to the supermarket, buy some extra stuff and put it in a bag and call a friend, a neighbor, a brother, or a sister from the church or from the community or whatever, and say, just call them and say, hey, I just left the bag in the front of your door on your stoop or some way, and I just want to bless you with it. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see people doing more of that. The Bible tells us that we ought to be rich in good works. And I think part of this new normal is that it's not only washing our hands, let's wash feet.
Oh, man. Amen. Amen. No, that's amazing. Well, Sister Sandra, we want to thank you for washing the pastor's feet and your son, Kevin, and really serving them. We didn't get back to you during this broadcast, but I think you're a living example of what that means. And absolutely, Pastor, I fully agree with you that the new normal is going to be a broken heart for our society and really serving mankind. And I believe also, the Lord has been working on my own heart that really we have to understand how fragile our life really is. We have to really truly get to a point where we understand that our days are numbered. It could be for whatever reason. And while we're here on earth, we have to do the work of the Lord every day, every moment, every chance that we get. Our eyes need to be open to this new reality. So I want to thank you both for spending the time with us today and really sharing. We're certainly going to have the both of you back on sooner rather than later, so we could continue these conversations, because I think it's been fascinating and really revealing. So may God richly bless you this day. And Sister Sandra, I hope somebody, gets you some fresh fruit.
Yes, it will happen.
All right,
And
so we're
the
gonna
laundry is done. It did ding at one point there.
Oh, okay.
yeah, you see that communication, within the household. This is great. Well, Kev, we have a fascinating week planned ahead. We have a government official that we'll be speaking with. We also have a minister from Guyana we will be speaking with. We have medical personnel we'll be working with. We have testimonies. Man, what a fascinating week ahead. I am excited and looking forward to the week that is about to unfold. So until we get together again, Kevin, why don't you take us out?
Yep, all right. And before we go, just to remind everyone, we still have our 6:30 a.m. Prayer call, our prayer meeting. And we also have our prayer service Wednesday night. So we hope to see everyone on those as well. And with that, we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed day, everyone.
God bless.
For more information, please visit our website at faithassemblychurch.org. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Faith Assembly NY. This is Faith Assembly signing off.